Knock it off. I said, shut up. Shouldn't we check and see if it's still alive? You hit it pretty hard. You just want to see it. Here you go. See? Take a peek. A pet? Ow!
I am this child's nurse droid. That was unpleasant. I'm sorry you had to see that.
Is the set from the Mandalorian. So this is the speeder bike and the biker scout with the child figure, and this is from the Mandalorian series. All right, so let's open it up and take a closer look. Okay, so first of all, I got the speeder bike or the biker scout out of the package, and the first thing that I want to say is I guess because they have him positioned in the bike, he comes with his legs like a little bit bowed to me. I mean, like this one right here is just bent, and I think that's because of the way they had him positioned on the bike for so long, and it just kind of warped. I'm sure I can heat that up and get that to straighten out, but it just looks kind of funny right out of the package. If I take the original Scout that I had and this Scout and I put them up next to each other, you'll see that besides like the shading or the weathering, they're pretty much virtually identical. And of course, like the painting is different. Like here, there's some paint differences. There's a slight coloration difference here. You can't really tell, but this guy is much more like weathered, like some of my vintage stormtroopers that I have, just because they've, you know, got that discoloration from light. And the paint schemes are much different. But if you look at them, like you can see, like this is the original and this is the new one. They pretty much have exactly the same articulation. And that was because that figure had to be able to sit on the bike and work many poses. But anyways, I think it looks pretty good with the way the Stormtrooper has gotten his remnant type look to it. It's kind of interesting that they decided to go this way with these troopers, because I can see this guy has like work wear, and this guy is basically just worn out. And they did that with that remnant, but they added some other type of paint to him to make him remnant. So this guy's really dirty, but if we watched The Mandalorian Season 2 and we saw the base that they were in, they had a base. So they could go back and they had their bikes parked in there and stuff like that. And so you'd think they could have kept their uniforms and stuff like that. They weren't like free-wheeling out in the desert with no base or anything like that. There was a base. And then he also has like the pouch with the child figure in it. And the cool thing is the head kind of does have some articulation, a little bit, moves around. So that's kind of cool. And the cool thing about this is it will snap shut like that, so that you can keep him uncovered and you still see his ear and stuff like that. Or it could be flapped open like that. And that's how I imagine like IG-11 will camera around his neck like that, and then he'll be watching while IG-11 shoots up the town. So I did kind of a little bit of a different angle. I just wanted to basically show the two speeder bikes that I have. This is one of the original ones, and this is the newer one, the white one. So you can see they're basically exactly the same, except for the paint and paint application and the base colors. If you look at the bottom of them, you can see that the engine compartments and stuff are slightly different, but pretty much everything else is identical down to the gun that's underneath, and the old one has the number A6588 also, and that's the same as the new one. So you can see it's not new, it's exactly the same mold. So you can see the hole where the stand goes is pretty much the same on both of them. Because the original one came with a stand like this, where he could be like higher or lower depending on it, and you could get this in a Marvel Legends also for the Hobgoblin. And the new one comes like with this, which is very similar to the way they did Rey's speeder bike. And it comes with this big post. And if you look at the size of the pegs are very similar in size. Just pushes in there and sits like that, and you can do all kinds of posing, forward, backwards, up and down. I'm going to show you the difference in the other one. Oh, this one can go on that peg right there, which could be very high, and you can manipulate it in a lot of different ways, or you can take this out and put it on like a lower peg, gives it a little bit more stability, and they would be right about the same height. But pretty much these speeders are identical again, except for the color. The other thing I'd like to point out on the speeder is that this foot rail right here, it does come off. I mean, it's just a slot. And I have one speeder that just doesn't have it. The 3 speeder bikes next to each other. So those are 3 speeders. I don't have the Stormtrooper, the Biker Scout that goes with that, so I just use it for a regular trooper. Okay, so overall, I think it's a pretty good setup. I really like the paint transitions and stuff like that. The accessories that this guy comes with is actually pretty cool, with the bag, with the Yoda, with the Grogu figure in there. And it's exactly the same figure, so the articulation is very good. And I do like the way they weathered him down, although it still kind of confuses me because they had a base, so they could have upkept their armor. But anyways, I think otherwise it's a decent figure. Decent collectible. If you hadn't had a speeder already, it's great to get one and put it into your collection. If you have some of the older ones, or if you have one of each or a couple of each or whatever, it's a great addition to add another speeder to the collection for photography or display or whatever you want to do. And if you have a Mandalorian shelf or something like that, it's going to look really great up there depending on how much space you have. It also looked great in the box. So if you're an in-box collector, I think it was displayed perfectly in the box. And you don't even need to take it out to see everything. So I think that was fantastic. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.